Welcome back, folks, to the new class. And in today's class, we'll talk about mainly standard deviation. And there is a subpart of standard deviation, that is the coefficient of variation. Coefficient of variation formula is not given to us. The coefficient of variation formula, I'll write it down here. CV is equal to S upon X bar multiplied by 100%. And if it is a population, it will become sigma divided by mu multiplied by 100%. So this is the formula for coefficient of variation of a sample, and this is a formula for coefficient of variation of the population. This formula is provided to you on a formula booklet, but it is not provided here on the screen, so that's why I've written this formula. All right, so again, I'll do a bit of a recap about what we've learned in the last class about which formula to use. So if you are given the raw data, then the formula to calculate the variance and the standard deviation will be these two formulas. So first of all, you calculate the variance, and then from variance, you take the square root of variance. That's going to give you the standard deviation. If the data was given to you in the table format, any table, whether it's a grouped or ungrouped table, then you can use this formula, or you can use this formula. I generally end up using this formula. This formula ends up giving me the correct answer, so I eliminate this formula, but it's up to you which formula you like to use. All right, now let's talk about this given question. Let me just quickly see whether I've been recording this lecture or not. Yes, this is being recorded. All right, so this sample data is given to me for sample one. I wanted to calculate the mean standard deviation of the each sample. So I'll first of all write the data. So this is 20, then 24, and then 10, then 22, and then 19, and then 16, then 15, and then 13. So this data is given to me. I wanted to calculate the standard deviation and the mean. So mean is equal to average. So whenever the data is given to you in the raw format, you can easily calculate any of these values but just by applying the inbuilt formulas. So insert, so let me just write down here mean, and then symbol is mu. I'm putting as u, but it's a mu symbol. Okay, and now control X, let me put it here, control V, and now this is equal to average. So mean is basically the average. So let me select, oopsie, I don't know why it is not allowing me to select this. Press enter. So average comes out to be 17.375. And then if you wanted to round this up to 1 or 2 decimal places, you can also call it as equal to round, round down, and this one, well, I'm only going to use round, not down, because it's going to always round down. So I'm going to use round the given number, this number, to 1 decimal place. So that's going to give you the answer as 17.4. All right, now the standard deviation, ST, and this is a sample, so I can call it as sample standard deviation is also represented by S. So S, I will write it here, and now here equal to uh, standard deviation, whoops, equal to standard deviation of sample, enter. That's going to give me the standard deviation. Again, if you have to round this, equal to round to 1 decimal place. All right, so this is the number you're going to get. This is the standard deviation for the sample one, and this is the mean for the sample. Now, when you are given the sample, so the good thing, as I earlier told you, you have to use this formula. This formula you're going to use when you are not using the Excel. So because you were given the Excel, you are given the Excel sheet. Sorry, I forgot. I lost my pen. So this is the formula I'm talking about. So this is the formula you're going to use when you're not using Excel, means you have to do it manually. Now, because you are provided with this Excel sheet and you will be using it for the midterm, so you don't need to find out any of these. You don't have to do any of these calculations. You can just directly use the formula for the standard deviation and get the answer for the standard deviation. I just wanted to tell you this formula will only work when the data is in the raw format. If the data is in the table format, this formula will not work. A lot of students have seen making the mistake where they end up using this formula for the table format and then they don't get the answer and they feel lost. So please make sure you remember this thing. All right, now let's talk about sample 2, then 12, and then 19, and 18, and then 25, then 15, and then 21, then 17, and then if I were to find the mean, and with the symbol U, and then equal to average. All right, this is the average value we got. Again, one thing I'll always recommend you to highlight your answers. If you do that, it'll be easier for me, and it'll look more presentable too. All right. Now you can round this up. I won't round this one for you guys, so you can always use the command roundup if you wanted to round up to the 1 decimal place, if the question says. And now standard deviation, ST, and this value is standard deviation of sample, not population. I'm using standard deviation of sample because this is a sample. Enter, we got the standard deviation. So equal to round. If I were to round this to 1 decimal place, this will become 4.8. So we calculated this standard deviation for sample 1 and standard deviation for the sample 2. Now, second part, it asks us to calculate the coefficient of variation. I just wanted to tell you, we will talk about in detail about what standard deviation is in the next lecture. Right now, I'm just teaching you how to use the formula to calculate the standard deviation. All right, so calculate the coefficient of variation for each sample, CV. Coefficient of variation, how to calculate that. This is the formula given to us. This formula I'm going to use. So standard deviation we've calculated equal to this number divided by x bar, mean value. I have to put it in bracket and then multiply it with 100. So coefficient of variation for the first one is 27.05 CV. For the second one, equal to, again, start the bracket, this number divided by this number and multiply by 100. So the first data is more dispersed. More the coefficient of variation is, lesser the reliable data is. So second data is more reliable compared to the first one. Okay, so let me just change the color for this one. Home, and this one was the yellow, and then the other one is more the grayish. Home, and yeah. Okay, so that's how you're going to calculate the coefficient of variation. Which data is more consistent? More consistent, which has the lesser coefficient of variation, that is more consistent or less variable. All right, so hopefully you were able to understand how to solve this question. Now let's jump into another question. Now in this question, we are given the class format for the data. The table is given to us in the class format. Now, first of all, I will, again, we have to calculate the same two things, standard deviation, and then I think we have to calculate approximate sample variance, yeah, and then standard deviation. No coefficient of variation needs to be calculated in this one. All right, let's put this data in the Excel first of all. 20 to 40, now 40 to 60, and then 60 to 80, and then 80 to 100, and then 100 to 120. And then let me put these arrows in between. Okay, and home, bring it to the middle. This is the lower limit, and this is the upper limit. All right, and home, and now we need to calculate the mean. First of all, before we calculate the mean, we need to find the middle value of this class, all the classes, shall I say. So middle value is represented by symbol X, and the middle value in this case is equal to first value plus the second value divided by 2. Make sure you don't forget to put the bracket around the two terms, otherwise your answer will be wrong. So now you're going to bring it down. So this is what you're going to get. And now the next thing we need to do is to calculate the variance. So which formula I'm going to use for variance? In this case, I'm going to use this formula for the variance. That is the formula we're going to use. Now, sorry guys, I'm suffering a little bit from cold. Still haven't been able to figure out how many days. I'm not sure if it's going to take me to fix the cold. So now now we have to calculate the frequency also. We have to first of all put the numbers for frequency. So this one will be 5, and then 12, and then 11, then 4, then 9. All right, now we will look into this formula carefully and then try to equate it according to this formula. Now, is it a sample? So given in a box in a group frequency distribution, calculate the approximate value for the sample variation. So it is saying the sample variation. So I will use this formula for sample. Okay. So now here, first of all, I have to multiply frequency with the x minus x bar. So please make sure you look at this formula carefully. If you can understand this formula, everything will become super easy. So it says x minus x bar. X is, we've already calculated. What is x bar? X bar is mean value. How we calculate the mean value, which we've learned from the previous formulas. In the previous video, we did learn how to calculate the mean. This was the formula which we used. The mean is equal to frequency times x divided by a sum of frequency. So let's apply that formula here. So first of all, I have to calculate the sum of frequency, which is n. So n value is equal to sum all this number. So the formula was, let me rewrite it here one more time. Formula was sigma f times x divided by n. That was the formula to calculate the mean value. So f times x, I will write it here, f times x. Okay, this is equal to this times it by this number, and now I'm going to move it in the downward direction, and here sum of all these values. So you multiply f times x, then the next step is sum, then the third step is divide. So equal to sum, whoops, sum of all these numbers. Now mean, I'll write it here, not meme, mean is equal to this number divided by this number. That's the mean value. 70 is the mean we've got. Now we're going to use the variance formula to calculate the variance. Then from there we will square root that value and get the standard deviation. So here I will write down x minus x bar. All right, and that will be here equal to x is this value. Let me put it in bracket. This minus this value and close the bracket, and I have to square it also. So to the power of 2. Okay, and this is minus here, and I have to take the absolute reference of this cell, Fn F4, and let me put a square here too, to the power of 2. All right, and then if I move it in the downward direction, all right, so let me just quickly check. Yeah, absolutely correct. All right, yeah. Now frequency times x minus x bar. So please make sure you guys also show all these details when you are doing the work on the Excel. Otherwise, I will deduct the marks. Okay, and equal to this number multiply by this number, and then bring it down. Okay, and now divided by n minus 1. So variance, here I will write variance, and that is equal to sum of all these values. Let me first of all sum of all the values equal to sum of all these values, and then this is the first part, and now we will calculate the variance equal to this number divided by n minus 1. This is n minus 1. N is the sum of frequency. So this is the variance we've got. Now if I were to find the standard deviation as t, standard deviation, that will come out to be equal to square root of this number, and that's going to give me standard deviation. Let me just quickly check if I've done everything correctly or not. Seems like correct to me. I'm just gonna recheck everything here. So whenever you're solving a question, always recheck your values so that you are doing everything correctly or not. So yeah, this is correct. This is correct. You take the sum of values, sum of the values, okay, divided by frequency, and got the mean value, and then x minus x bar. This should be minus here, x minus x bar, and x minus x bar. That's awesome. And yeah, so this is correct. Then x minus x bar, we've squared this, yes, and then multiply by frequency, and then add the frequency, then n minus 1 divided by n minus 1, and then square root that number. That's going to give us the standard deviation. So hopefully you were able to understand how we can solve these questions. So now that's it for me for this video. I'll see you with another video. Till then, goodbye.